I'm going to be going over toxic waste as my environmental issue. So technology is a huge part of today's world. California is becoming one of the highest technologically advanced states in the country, with so many software developing companies in San Francisco and LA. Many technologies such as computers often contain hazardous materials such as lead, mercury, arsenic, cadmium, and brominated flame retardants. When we dispose of cell phones, we burn them, and when they are burned, these materials are polluting the air and water. And this is not just an issue for California or Americans, this is a global issue. Americans throw out just shy of 3 million tons of household electronics in 2006, which has definitely increased. 4 in 5 people in the United States have phones that are likely to be replaced every year, and our waste is then sent to less developed countries that don't have the infrastructure to deal with the waste properly, so the effects usually go on them. What happens to your old technology? Well, cell phones can be melted down and scrapped for their precious metals, releasing harmful chemicals in the process. But the United States creates landfills that don't always work, but they're designed to keep hazardous materials from leaking into the soil and its water supplies. A majority of phones are sent to developing countries to either be reused or disposed of. 34 recent model cell phones were put through a standard EPA test, simulating conditions inside of a landfill. All of them leaked hazardous amounts of lead, on average, more than 17 times the federal threshold for what constitutes hazardous material. The town Gaiyu in China receives tons of computer and cell phone parts that they dissolve in acid and burn for materials. The health consequences are immense. Respiratory problems and elevated blood lead levels in children are reportedly rampant in Gaiyu, and the nearby river contained up to 2,400 times the World Health Organization's acceptable threshold for lead. Pretty scary stuff. So soil contamination, which is a huge part of hazardous waste, is while electronic waste only makes up 2% of total waste in U.S. landfills, it is responsible for 70% of the heavy metals found in landfills. Soil contamination in developing countries is way worse. Landfills are just basically dumping grounds of hazardous waste covered with dirt. And in the graphs we see the amount of heavy metal concentrations in waste pile depths. It's pretty similar to the amount that's in our own soil depths, which is pretty crazy. So the health effects of hazardous waste. In light cases, hazardous substances may irritate the skin or eyes, make it difficult to breathe, cause headaches and nausea, or result in other types of illnesses. More serious cases involve behavioral abnormalities, cancer, genetic mutations, physiological malfunctions, physical deformations, and birth defects. The effect on the environment is just as scary, killing organisms in a lake or river, destroying animals and plants in a contaminated area, causing major reproductive complications in animals, or otherwise limit the ability of an ecosystem to survive. And these effects are more common in people working close to the waste disposal factories and areas with insufficient waste disposal. And these effects are way more prevalent in developing countries due to the structure of their landfills. So this really points to that we need to make a better form of recycling and disposal of hazardous waste in order to reduce the impacts. This slide is my references. I really hope you guys learned a lot about toxic waste and the effects of it. Thank you very much.